Welcome back to Boredom Sated. I'm Michael,
And I'm Boris.
and today we're going to do more Ravenloft stuff. I know you guys love it. And we're going to start at the first Lord of the Domain, the very, very first province of Ravenloft, Barovia, and its master, Strahd von Zarovich. Now, Strahd began somewhere in the Prime Material Plane, doesn't say what world, and he was a prince of his own domain, very, very, very roughly based upon Vlad, but the Impaler, but very, very roughly. He comes back at middle age or so, and he wants to retire. He's been through the equivalent of the Crusades. And while he's back, he has a brother named Sergei, and his beloved, which is Titania. Now, there are some differences in the backstory, but essentially, Strahd's in love with Titania, and he wants her to be his bride. However, she's in love with Sergei. So during the wedding festivals for Sergei and Titania, Strahd makes a pact with dark powers. Now, we don't know who the dark powers are, but we assume these are the powers of Ravenloft itself. This is the beginning of Ravenloft. And so during the feast, Strahd kills his brother, and Titania runs away from him, and he chases her to the top of the castle, and she throws herself off. And this is something that will play an important role in Strahd's psychology later on, of him always looking for her throughout the ages and never being able to find her.
I really don't understand why they call it a tragedy. This is a standard love story in Eastern Europe.
The brides throw themselves off. Wonderful.
It's a beautiful love story. I don't understand. All right, go ahead.
So anyway, and during this feast, his family is like completely horrified. The guards turn on him. They stab him, but he will not die. And he starts going on a murder spree and kills pretty much all the guests and everything. And those who flee, they curse the area. And then the mists of Ravenloft come and engulf the entirety of Barovia. And with him, with Strahd, and his castle, by the way, is known as Castle Ravenloft. Dun, dun, dun. That's why the entire demiplane is known, the campaign setting is known as Ravenloft. And then when the mists come back, he is now suddenly in this place where he can't leave. He can't leave his domain. That's a running theme in Ravenloft. Every single lord is trapped. It's his own prison. It's his own personal hell. And every so often, every generation, there is a lady who is reincarnated to look exactly like Titania. And Strahd somehow knows this and seeks her out. And during this time, she always dies just as he's about to reach her, which is this constant torment for him. Now, Strahd is the ancient vampire by D&D standards. He's about 500 years old. So he's no spring chicken, which means he's powerful as hell. Which brings me to his 5th edition statistics.
Yes. Now, quite surprisingly, I'm a little bit disappointed in his 5th edition statistics.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong, the stat line is fantastic, but it's too human. In other words, if it's everything is high, but nothing is, in my opinion, what I would consider beyond that of mortal men. So he doesn't have he only has one stat at 20.
Yeah.
Then he has 4 stats at 18. Yes, no mortal man or mortal being can get that based on the rules, but I really consider him to have a couple of 22s in my view.
True. I think his charisma should at least be in the 20s, low 20s at least.
Yeah.
And he's a caster in 5th edition. He was in previous editions he was a necromancer, in addition to being a vampire, but and he has spellcasting ability in this. But yes, I agree wholeheartedly. His intelligence should be a little bit higher. and his wisdom and charisma should all be higher. If you don't want him to be a warrior, which is kind of silly because his backstory is that he fought all his life. He was a warrior and he was a leader of men. In particular, his strength should be in the 20s at least, just by being a vampire and being ancient. But I don't think that's currently in this thing. But yes, I agree. His statistics are a bit too low.
Right. Then, I mean, I think based on that, his armor class is way too low. It's a 16 for
15th level. That's kind of low. Yeah. You're right.
I mean, I understand he's a spellcaster, but still, his
and you're going to be going that way, and it should bump. He should have at least a 21, a 19 to 21, that range at least at this level.
Right.
He's the lord of the freaking. He's the lord of the freaking domain. He should be like.
No, totally agree. His damage resistance is in line. Necromantic, bludgeon, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks. I think that's very reasonable for a vampire lord. His dark vision, 120, also in line. Then he has his standard vampire stats. If he's not in running water or sunlight, he can use his action to polymorph into a tiny bat, a medium wolf, or a medium cloud of mist, or back into his true form. That's vampire aspects. Now this is where we get into his legendary resistance. Now my other complaint is I don't think he has enough of legendary actions, resistances, however way you might see for a lord. If Strahd fails a saving throw, he can choose to succeed instead 3 times a day. But that's your standard legendary thing. It's nothing, WoW based. That I think should be there. The rest, he has vampire capabilities. He's also a spellcaster, 9th level, which gives him 5th level spells. He can spider climb, but that's again in line with vampires, and he has vampire weaknesses. He can't enter a building without. Yeah.
The one thing I issued, that's what was in. This is from leftover from 2nd edition. Under his weaknesses, it says forbiddance. He can't enter a resident without invitation from one of the occupants. Here's the thing about that. He technically owns all of the property in Barovia, so he actually can enter any building because he owns all of them.
Right.
He's living on his land. Right. He's the lord of the. Yeah. That's one of the things that was from. Obviously not in this one, but it's a little nitpick. Right. It's kind of fun when you think about it. When you're like, oh, I can't enter. If you have say your party's running from a vampire that happens to be in the Barovia, and they can't, and you see them, that vampire can't enter the entrance because it's not invited in. It has to run away. And then later on, Strahd's in the same position as that, and they think, oh, you'll be safe. Or better yet, you have Strahd going after somebody, maybe Titania or whatever it is, or the reincarnation of Titania, says you'll be safe in here. Just don't invite him in. And it says, I own everything. And he leaves over and takes
right.
Like, damn it!
Now, let me quickly go over his legendary actions because this is what I think are weak. Move. Strahd moves up to his speed without provoking opportunity attacks. It's nice. Unarmed strike, so he can get an extra unarmed strike. Or for 2 actions out of the 3 that he gets, he can bite you. Okay. Like I said, it's yes, he's a legendary creature, and it's great that he has these 3 actions, but none of them are like that wow effect that you really I feel he needs.
They don't strike me as legendary. He doesn't strike me as this is something like, oh, he's gonna do something special. He's gonna move. All right. He's gonna attack you once. This is no imaginations. Like he should be like, I don't know, his thing should be, all right, summon a horde of bats. Blah, 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 blah. It obscures you guys, and then you guys have to make a saving throw versus disease or something.
Right. Well, and the problem with that is he can only summon those only once a day. Also, I think that's very weak. I mean, it should be.
Oh yeah. Well, that should be a legendary action where you can say, all right, usually it's once a day, but
Right, exactly. It's okay that it's once a day, but I should be able to use my legendary action and can do it one more time or two more times,
yeah.
in combat. Like I said, it's very unlegendary in my opinion.
Or here's another thing. It should be something related to the castle itself. Like he can turn the stairs all flat. You've seen those in the old cartoons where all the stairs go flat and you fall down. or you can say, oh, here's a wall, and then suddenly the wall comes up and where there wasn't one before. He can manipulate that should be a legendary action, 2 actions. Boom. He can manipulate the castle for a while. That should be awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So comparatively to previous editions, I think in this edition he's
He's sort of not. It seems like he's just another vampire lord.
Right.
He doesn't seem so special. Like I said, one of the things about the legendary action feature for these special characters is that it's your way of making that character unique, of making that character special, other than just simply whatever abilities he normally would have. And I do believe, his like he gets an extra bite. That doesn't sound like anything, special, unless his mouth becomes like massive for a second. And he can swallow you whole. So I don't know, something like that.
No, it's definitely a problem because he's legendary, and these extra bonus actions, cause grief to the party. But the what he can do themselves is not legendary in line with what I envision Strahd should be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, his unarmed strike is a basic vampire hit, does damage and necrotic damage. Okay, so
right.
It doesn't even say it does the life drain thing, where this is necrotic damage. It does 8 average hit and 14 necrotic hit, and you can get a free grapple out of it. That's it. It doesn't sound like too awesome. Oh, maybe because it needs to be a bite. I'm sorry. It's the bite that's the one that does the life drain thing. But still, the basic hit should do something.
Right. Right.
Slow him down, reduce the speed.
No. Right. My issue isn't that he's not a legendary creature. My issue is that he doesn't have the unique legendary actions that.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I attribute.
That should be like once each type. Children Knight can only do it once a day. It's like one of them. You can only call it like a swarm of bats or a swarm of rats.
Right.
Or wolves. That's it. I'm like, all right, that's kind of
right. I think 5th edition really took a lot away from him.
Yeah.
He's. It is what it is, but somebody that's had his own module, since Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Somebody that everybody has, Yeah.
It was almost a rite of passage. It was almost a rite of passage in the 1st and 2nd edition when you players to go through Castle Ravenloft at least once, because it's like this is a well-made module. That's one of the best-selling modules at the time, and it's like so detailed. But it's like I know there's a lot going on in Ravenloft, and there's certain things that one of the most beautiful parts about that was you met a Vistani, a gypsy camp, and Madame Ava drew tarot for you, okay?
Right.
And based upon that tarot was the location of certain items in Castle Ravenloft. So it changed from every time you played it. So the Sun Sword, I believe, is in one location.
Right.
The holy symbol of Ravenkind is another one. And it made the adventure replayable. Because certain things can be in a different place, and you're like, oh crap. And if you've ever seen the actual blueprints, that could take you a while trying to search for this stuff.
Right. No, it was a fantastic, like you said, it was a fantastically written module, and that's why it's one of the best-selling ever out there. So yeah, so pretty much that's Strahd in 5th edition.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a bit disappointed, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens when they introduce Ravenloft. Maybe they'll give him extra powers because he's the lord of a domain.
Yeah.
We'll see what the book says, and hopefully it'll bump him up.
Yeah. One of the aspects of I have to go back, but to I'm not sure if it was mentioned in 3rd edition, but in the 2nd edition, when Ravenloft started, certain lords of the domain could not be killed. Well, they can be destroyed, but they'll just reform because they're not the dark powers aren't done with them. They won't allow them to
Right.
die permanently. Strahd was one of them. Yes, there are ways here to like traditionally, stake him, sunlight him, dip him in water, whatever. Kill him. But he always reforms, and
Right.
I believe occasionally when the lord of the domain is weak enough or the dark part doesn't care anymore, if they are killed, they die, and the domain goes back to wherever
Yep.
stolen from. No, not always. That's a very rare.
Right. Now, I'm thinking, you know, would be interesting if they added to the lords
What?
that, you know, how we were going over the demi-human vampires.
Yes.
Yeah, but have a unique way of killing them, but depending on some sort of cycle, like the cycle of the moon, or so. Depending on what cycle of the moon is, if you permanently want to kill a lord, you have to do something different.
How would you find that out?
How would you find out the stuff we went over with the other?
Yeah, you know what? We're continuing the ridiculousness of the previous videos.
Yes. Anyway, so if you like this video, please subscribe. Just a large percentage of non-subscribers are watching this, and we would greatly appreciate if you subscribe, hit the notification button, message us why you didn't like it, why you like it, message us what you want to see next. We'll be glad to go over any reasonable suggestion that's out there. And, well, I'm Boris from Boredom Sated.
I'm Michael from Boredom Sated.
Have a good day.